We built our room 20 years ago when our daughter was 2 years old as a way to expand the living space that we had in our home. And the experience was awesome because it gave us more space for her to play. And then that room has evolved over the past 20 years into an extension of our entertainment space. Well, when it was the slash playroom, hangout room, it was more Barbie dolls and things like that in doll houses. And now it's a full seating area with another dining area. It leads out onto 2 patios. You can entertain from there into the family room, and it just gives a really warm finish to the home. We love the area that we lived in. We live in Glendale. We love the environment and the whole community, and we really didn't want to leave. And we didn't want to add on an enormous amount of space, but we did want to enlarge what I would call more play area or social area. And so doing the Patriot Room allowed us to stay in the area that we were in and expand our footprint. I love that decision. I think a lot of times as homeowners, we all feel like we don't know if we want to move or stay. And we stayed where we were, and it was the best decision we ever made. The room has acquiesced into the rest of our home beautifully with as a social space now, and it's just a lovely addition to our home. I literally cannot imagine not having that room. When it snows, I go out there because it's independently heated and cooled from the rest of the house. And I sit out there and I watch it snow. In the spring, like this morning, I went out with a cup of tea and was able to just kind of enjoy the atmosphere of the birds and the landscape coming back to life. When we decided to do this and we started looking at different options, traditional construction costs were so much higher than we anticipated them to be. And that kind of made us step back and decide if we could or could not do this. Jim Lewis came over and showed us that we could have the look that we wanted at the cost that we were expecting and were budgeting for. And it just made the experience so much better. If we had done a traditional landscaping development type of thing, we would have lost some of the landscape in our yard. We would have lost some large trees and things that we already had, and it would have changed the look of the exterior that we love so much. So this nestled right into the existing house and the architecture that we had. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves that room. And when we have parties, no matter how big or how small, people gravitate to that room. I think part of it is because of the openness of it. The windows allow you to feel like you're still outside, but you're not. In the spring, at this time of year, we'll open the windows and you get that lovely spring breeze, but you don't get the bugs. And so you get that. At Christmas time, if it's snowing, you kind of feel like you're just in a snow globe. Kind of in a different environment, but you get to sit there and just enjoy everything but still be warm and cozy. Sales process was great. I think one of the reasons why we went with Patriot was the involvement of ownership. So for my husband, it was very important. He's in the development business, that he could work with someone that he had an affinity and an understanding about. For me, it was more about the aesthetics. So once they worked through the financials and the design portion, it allowed me then to have free reign to look at it from what is this going to do for our home from a value standpoint and from a design standpoint. The ROI on this was incredible, not only because we did independent heating and cooling, which we were kind of vacillating on whether to do that or not, and Jim really encouraged us to do that. And that's increased our home value because it can actually be used as additional square footage for our home. So our residential value has increased in an area where residential values have increased already. It's just put us into an even more competitive situation should we choose to sell our home, which we're not going to do, but it would give us that added bonus. My favorite time is probably Christmas because as I'm sitting in the sunroom, if I look into the family room, I can see the fireplace lit, and I still get that warmth and that feeling of the holidays because it extends into that room as well. But I would have to say, spring and summer, that room is just incredible to have friends and family over in. When you think about this time of the year, everybody wants to be outside, or they want to expand their ability to be outside. And this room gives us that. We host Mother's Day every year, and so everybody's always in that room. The windows are open, we're barbecuing, out on the patio. But there's just such a lovely feeling of being able to sit out there and you're outside, but you're not really outside with the bugs if you don't want to be. That room stands up great to weather. I think I remember the first year we had a really bad windstorm, and I thought to myself, oh boy. And the room came through great. Actually, I have a girlfriend that says she likes to be out there when it rains because it sounds like people are clapping. The product is built for durability. and the room sustains itself. We've had that room for 20 years. And we've not had to replace a window. We've not had to replace a window track. We've not had to replace anything. That room sustains itself because of the architecture. Putting the air conditioning and the heating unit out there really was a great thing that Jim suggested that we do, because originally we were not going to do that. And the first winter that we had that room installed and we were able to go out there when it was snowing and be comfortable and just hang out, we realized that it was the right call. So it increases the value of the room, in our opinion. Maintenance isn't hard at all. For us, we're kind of, meticulous. We clean the windows twice a year, so that's a good project for a day. And they shine beautifully even after all these 20 years of being installed. And because the room is so low maintenance, you don't have to paint it. You don't have to do anything to it. You just enjoy it. So we had some friends at a party at our home, and the wife was so intrigued that she grabbed her husband and brought him out in the sunroom and said, "We've got to have one of these." "Who did this?" And I said, "Patriot did it." And I gave him Jim's number. So you find that people gravitate to this type of an addition now, I think, because it allows them to extend the value of their home and the footprint of their home without a drastic change in their lifestyle or in a move. And so a lot of my friends are starting to consider it now as their children are starting to move out, that they'd like to have maybe a space for them, maybe have it as a sewing room or a painting room or something like that. It allows them to maybe extend their footprint a little bit more now than they could before. It was literally, we saw a commercial and he picked up the phone and called. And then Jim Lewis came out and sat down with us, and I think he came out twice. And the second time we did the deal. It was a Saturday morning, daughter 2 years old, running around, and my husband is incredibly meticulous with what he does on anything like that, and Jim hit the mark on everything, and so we were able to move forward with it. Well, we were both wanting to do something, and we had this whole conversation about, do we want to move or do we want to stay in the house we were in? And so it was literally like the light bulb went off. We were watching TV one night, we saw the Patriot commercial, and so both of us kind of looked at each other and said, maybe that's our solution. Let's investigate that as an option instead of uprooting our family and moving out of a home that we love. I would just say that this room has become such an integral part of our household. People gravitate to it. I gravitate to it. When I come back from being on the road for 3 or 4 days of business, I will go out there with a glass of wine, I don't care what time of year it is, and I will just kind of sink back into my residence. And that's my room to do it.